All right, friends, here we go. Happy Saturday, everyone, or whenever you're listening to this, probably Friday. Welcome back to Sales Life. I'm here with an expert salesman who never has too many tabs open in Chrome. That's the crazy part about you, Sean. Most people, 60 to 80 tabs. He does one at a time and,
yes.
and gets his deals done. Sean Ward, and I'm Justin Ryder. Folks, we're back.
Hey, buddy.
It's
Welcome
good to see
your
you, man.
Podcast. Yeah, good to
I
see
know.
you.
It's good to see you. You got the tea rolling. We're doing coffee
I
here
got
in
my
Kentucky.
tea. Yep.
I continue to struggle to get up on Saturdays at a reasonable time, and you're 3 hours before me.
Yes, I was up in the dark setting this up, and I'm not kidding. But it's sunny.
Are you serious?
Well, it's just the time of the year. Yeah, it was dark.
You're up. You've already been to a skin spa, and
you can see there's a cat in my background. I think you could see. This is our. Have I ever told you about our working cats?
No, they're around with the workers.
We have employees. Yeah, no, these are our cats, man. We got these cats from some lady who rescues them. They were going to be euthanized, and then they come and they're working cats. They work the property. They keep the rats away. So that's she dropped them off. She said keep them in this cage for a month and feed them, and we kept them in this cage outside, and they were ferocious, man. They would you open the door to feed them, and they would just want to tear your head off. And then after a month, you open the cage, let them go, and then you keep putting food there. And dude, they're here to work. Yeah, they're working the property, keeping the rats away.
That's amazing. Is there a rat issue in California? This is news to me.
Yeah. Oh no, dude. Yeah,
Okay.
There's rodents. Yeah, everywhere. A lot of people have fruit trees, and that attracts a lot of skunks and rats and stuff like that.
Well,
yeah.
To all our listeners, don't forget to have your pets spayed and neutered. And we're now jumping in to Sean. We can jump right into our topic today, which I'm really excited about. And I think a lot of people are going to love, which is how to survive your first 5 years in commercial real estate. We're actually doing this. We're jumping in and doing this.
We're going to do it. Yes. And we're going to go topical. Okay. Justin chastised me. He said, hey man, I like that you like to talk about life and the meaning of it, but let's give the listeners what they want. So we're going topical. I'm excited. We actually have 4 or 5 topics lined up to talk about, adding value.
I love hearing you speak from your life experience. So it's not that I don't want that, and I hope that it's not like we're just teaching a mindless lesson like AI robots here. I mean, our experiences and life experiences are going to come out when you talk about surviving this business, because if you're talking about surviving 5 years, you've now survived 4 5-year periods.
Yeah.
Which I think includes the .com bubble. I mean, it's a couple recessions, Sean.
Enron, you don't even know what Enron is, man.
It's a subprime mortgage deal.
Yes.
And you've been through this, but obviously, and I am in year 7 of this business currently. So survive the first 5 years. Man, did I start on an uptick. I mean, you launch into this in 2018, right?
You're caught in the momentum. You're riding the wave. Yeah.
Did you see that strip mall guy post the other day where he basically said hey, dear all brokers, this job is no longer easy. You need to do, all this stuff. I'll see if I can put it up on the screen right now to see it. And I won't look it up to disturb the flow of our conversation, but it essentially says when the market is so hot that everything's selling itself, it's very easy to survive. Mm-hmm. And, some of these principles that we're discussing now may indeed help people that have been in for 5 years or more, but started when I did and rode up this market. Now, granted, it's not that a ton of hard work didn't go into 18, 19, 20, 21, but people are borrowing at 3%. And,
yeah, man, zero interest.
I mean, if I'm honest with you, everything I listed during those years sold. Everything we listed for leased. Like,
yeah. It was a pretty great time. Yeah, let's be honest. But yeah, I think
come back.
Yeah, to your point, if that's all you knew, it may be a bit jarring to feel the environment we're in now. But this is definitely more the norm. So why your first 5 years? One, it's just a round number, right? I mean, we're clearly just making this up, but there is something about you get into the business and you have all these high expectations and things that, you think this business will be like, and you will find out that your expectations do not match reality in some form or fashion, and the going will get tough. And then, at some point, if you're not doing things the right way, you will run out of gas.
Right.
4 years in, 3, 4, 5, 6 years in, you'll run out of gas. So the question is like, well, how do you get past there is like a hurdle. Like, how do you get over the hurdle to where you
What do you think
are
the
no
hurdle
longer,
is?
I think the hurdle is like, okay, you figured out how you can sustain yourself in this business. Like you can feed yourself, right? So you come in, if you're making calls, you're digging up business, working as a sales trainee, working on a team, working under somebody, you're just kind of doing whatever they tell you. But at some point you've got to figure out like, okay, I've got to create opportunities for myself, convert them, close them, and then move on to the next thing and then figure out how to do that. So like, some people just can't, they can't get past the point where they can't launch, like they can't leave the nest, right? I think that's the hurdle. Can you leave the nest? Can you sustain yourself? And I think there's some things that if you set the expectations right and go into it with your eyes open, will help you get past that hurdle, will help you launch out of the nest, so to speak.
So would you say the hurdle is more time or money? Like I've been in this long enough to gain the experience to do it on my own, or I've been in long enough to give myself a runway financially?
Yeah, it's probably both, right? Yeah. It's more the experience than anything. Like if you have the right expectations and you have enough of experience, you'll be able to keep going. But there's just a point where like we had a guy on our team and he was the best guy ever, and he was in for a couple years, and one day he comes in, he's like, I can't do calls anymore. I just can't. I think I'm getting an ulcer. Every night before bed, I'm like sick to my stomach about getting up and making cold calls. And it's like, man, don't keep pushing yourself. Right.
I can't, I've not experienced that, but I've also not put myself in the shoes of someone who's feeling that and saying that, just because because I'm selfish and I haven't stopped to do anything for anything else other than myself. But I get that.
Yeah. You know what? Here's what the hurdle is. It's not the time or the money or experience. It's this. There's, generally speaking, there's two ways, there's two personalities or ways or parts of a deal, or types of brokers or salespeople. Like you're either good at business development or you're good at servicing clients, right? Generally speaking, you're either excellent at finding the deal, rainmaker, getting in front of people, closing the business, or you're excellent at, okay, we have the business, let's execute, let's deliver great service for the client. And usually those people are only good at one or the other. Like now we'll adapt and we'll do both, but you're going to be stronger at one over the other. For me, I'm much more on the business development side. We have a guy on our team, Josh. He's excellent at service delivery. Like he's such a good relationship guy. He's so good at he just says the right thing with the client at all times, makes the client feel comfortable. Naturally, like when we show up to a day, I'm going to gravitate towards looking for new opportunities. He's going to gravitate towards just handling the ones we have. And here's why here's the hurdle. You have to be able to feed yourself enough. If you're more the service person, the client focused deal person, you have to somehow get to the point where you could focus on that and maybe partner with other people. But like, you can't come into this business and be that because you don't have deal experience. And it's unlikely somebody's going to just pay you to transact deals. So you have to be able to be enough of a business developer to get deals in front of you, so then you could service them. And then, the business development folks, you have, like, if all you could do is set up deals but not do a great job at closing them, you're going to struggle, to really launch as well. That's why, we think teaming works, partnerships and teams, complementary skill sets. And, I think we meet with people on our team who are maybe realizing they're 5, 6, 7 years in, realizing that, hey, I'm not great at one or the other part of this business, so I'm looking to join a team where that can round out my skill set. We just kind of see that a lot. I'd be curious. You're 7 years in now, so I'm curious which personality you are, or if you say that none of that makes sense, you're wrong.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I honestly don't know. I love both. And up until this past year, I've mostly been operating as kind of a solo assassin, if you will, developing the business, being in a service relationship with the client, closing the deal, moving on to the next one. If you can do that 30 to 40 times, you're in the money. You're not just surviving, you're thriving.
30 to 40 times a year. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, that's really crazy.
Well,
when you say it.
I mean, some of these are smaller.
Yeah.
Some of these are smaller,
well, they all take the same amount of time.
A newer agent in our office last year did 37 deals, one short of my record, which was 38. And I was so pumped that he didn't break the record. But he posted it on LinkedIn and said, sponsored by Coffee and Zen. And, and it was, but it was a grind, right? It was a grind. And, but I would say, honestly, I think I'm right in the middle. Like, I like to go in with an unsigned listing agreement when I'm meeting with someone. And I like the challenge of what's it going to take to leave here with an agency relationship, representation, got the property under control. Now we can sell it. And we're doing the best for the client. Like, I've had a lot of discussions as people have moved away from quick cash grab sort of in a hot economy and into straight equity plays. It's like I had this conversation twice this week where I felt like a financial advisor, because some dude was, what is that? Something? What is that sound?
I'm going to turn it off. That's so, a new setup right now, right? New location. That's my pool equipment turning on for the day. Sorry. I'm sorry.
I love it.
But it's off.
We're going to leave it in here. Okay. So, but, I was saying feeling like a financial advisor because a person with a building was talking through, hey, I've got this gain, tax. If I sell it, maybe I'll lease it. My kid said it's going to be a huge gain. And I'm like, well, yeah, maybe, but it depends on what an occupier will pay and what equity that produces and where you can invest it. It might be worth paying the taxes, or, it might be worth not having the headache. So I think the conversations have stepped up in complexity. Probably, or at least my responses have. I mean, I was having the same conversations the first year in the business without fully comprehending how to help people maximize their equity. Now I fully comprehend that and do it on a daily basis and love it. So that, by the way, and that goes to, we don't have a exact list. We're just going to talk around this topic, and I'm sort of going to throw things at you. Questions, ideas, that sort of thing. But where do you think education fits into this? Because I tell people, as soon as you possibly can take CCIM 101, you need to take it. Like, you need to understand as quickly as you can that every small every building is a small business in and of itself. And the revenue can be improved, the expenses can be improved, and you need to arm yourself with that knowledge. Agree or disagree?
That's a hard disagree right there. Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, this just highlights there's so many parts and pieces to this business, right? Like you're an investment sales guy. I'm a leasing guy. Like generally speaking, like in my world, at least at the big shop I'm at, they divide people into capital markets folks or I should say investment sales or leasing. And I'm on the leasing side. So I've never taken CCIM. There's just so many, but I don't know what I don't know, right? I don't know. And then I came into a big company that just provided a ton of training. I did, every month it was a full day offsite for 2 years. There was like a 101 class where they sent me away for a week, boot camp style. There was just trainings upon trainings. Independent boutiques or smaller shop, CCIM provides that education. So here I am saying, no, you don't need it, but I got it, right? I just got it in a different way.
You got capitalized value. You got when I see people come in and they don't really comprehend how this lease actually changes the nature of the building, like the value, like the capitalized value added because you did this lease. The tenant has all the power.
Right.
And people think it's residential. If you're in your first 5 years in listening to this, residential is typically valued with feeling.
Yeah. I think one is like, what's your learning style? And then two, I think that's saying that more is caught than taught. So I think you get more, and maybe this is just my learning style, but like I would get more out of just being in proximity to people doing deals than I would from attending a class right. So sitting in close proximity. No, I'm just going to try and disagree just to throw you off your game. I like when I do that and you look at me like, what? How could you? It's not even controversial.
This is LinkedIn.
How could you disagree? Education. You got to get educated, however it works for you. 100%. But you will get that, and you'll become more educated the longer you hang around, right? I mean, there's a certain pace to learning.
You can read it in a book, which I'm a guy that I like to read the stuff before. People say like, don't read books about commercial real estate, which is one way that we differ. I know, because I've said this to you before. Like, I've read all these books about commercial real estate, and you're like, just go talk to someone who's doing it. What I like to do is arm myself with the bigger picture ideas so that I don't feel like I'm walking blind into situations. Then when I sit down with a Sean Ward, who's a 24-year veteran, then I can say, oh yeah, I generally understand warehousing and what you do and how, the industrial product in your community affects housing and et cetera, et cetera. So that's sort of what I did. But you said a very cool phrase, which actually fires me up, which is proximity. Because when I think about first 5 years, I tell people get as close to the fire as you can.
Of course.
And the fire is legitimate transactions where there's a buyer and a seller who agree, there's a closing, and everyone leaves the closing table. Thank you, brokers, for your help. Like, the fire is reps. So if you can waste a lot of time and not even begin your first 5 years if you're not in close proximity to actual transactions.
Yeah. And how do you get the proximity to transactions? You sit near the folks that are transacting them, right? So I think this is the fundamental piece, and I think this applies to, unless you're literally just starting out and going at it alone, which I don't even know how you would ever even do that. A true independent, like opening your own shop without ever doing it. So maybe that doesn't even exist, but I think everybody comes into this business working underneath somebody who is already established, a sales trainee, a runner, junior broker, whatever you want to call it. So this is, okay, maybe we're finally landing 20 minutes in of getting into it. So this is how you survive your first 5 years. Here's the main point. I think one of the main points, you have to align yourself. You have to partner with somebody. You have to work under somebody or a group of people. There has to be a plan. I think it's a failed plan if you just think you're going to show up and just make calls and then just figure it out all on your own. And maybe we if you do that, let's call this surviving your first 10 years, because that's how long it'll take you, right? Aligning in close proximity to somebody who's doing deals it's so much leverage for you. It's a ton of leverage. Yeah.
Right. So, Sean, people show up in your life, like you just posted this week about the kid. Is there a cowboy in your office? I guess who was wearing
Tucker. Yeah, no, that was my cowboy hat. I have a hat, and somebody just gave it to me. It was sitting at my desk, and he was wearing these. They were Italian, like very expensive boots, and I don't know. I said. So they looked like cowboy boots. He has a mustache. The hat went on. It was a funny photo op. But yeah, he just closed his first deal.
That's it, right?
Tucker Black. He's the man.
So there's an ongoing exchange with him and you, right? Like that's
100%.
That's one of the things I want to get to is you're not just saying like, hey, I'm along for this ride. I'd like to make some money. Like, let me know where I can help. But you're trying to provide value. And then people are graciously providing value to you, knowing that, hey, this is going to pay off in the future. I'm training you. You're going to be a producer. Hopefully we continue to work together when you're solo, not solo, but when you're a solo producer. Yeah. Tell me about the value exchange.
Like you have to understand that, okay, what do you get when you come in as a new salesperson? What do you get by working in proximity to the senior brokers that are around you? I mean, you said it first, like you get that momentum of being close to the fire, right? You've got people will not just let you in their proximity, but they'll, most senior folks will guide you, teach you along the way, will be always available to answer questions. I think like for a guy like Tucker who joins our team, okay, he's joining a team that has already an established brand. Like just by joining our company, we have an established company brand, and then we have an established team brand. So when he picks up the phone and says, Tucker Black, and he's calling on behalf of our team or a listing we have, like people in the market know that. And by the way, he's not starting out from scratch. He's got, our team has 3.5 million feet of listings right now. We've got 40 something properties that we need to move. Okay, Tucker, we're putting your name on these brochures. Here's your business card. Go out, represent, like these are your deals. Like go find tenants and buyers. That's a huge amount of value to be given to somebody starting out. Plus us saying, hey, here's how you do it. Pick up the phone, make 80 calls, tweak your pitch like this. Like, okay, so that's what he's getting. And by the way, we're paying him. So we're paying him to train him to just be a killer broker. Yeah. So that's what you're getting. And like, this is the main point. Think about as you're coming in and you're new, think about everything you're getting. And it might not be all that, but I promise you, it's a version of that. You are getting a version of that.
Well, I have a funny story for you about who I aligned myself with early on, which you'll love. But before I say that, I want to take that a step further. This is going to sound cheesy. I get it. But I've told you about this guy before. I read about John Bull, who was a really awesome Christian guy, philanthropist, whatever, mobile home park fortune. He sold I think it was 78,000 mobile home park sites finally in the end, in the early 2000s to the Washington State Pension Fund for $18 billion, something crazy like that. But he started, he was first generation immigrant. Okay.
Yeah.
So, or his parents migrated to the United States. He was first generation American. His parents literally told him every day, this is only possible. Everything we're doing and everything you're doing is only possible because of the context that you're living in, the country that you're living in, and the opportunity we gave you. He literally thought about that every day. So when he started
yeah, keep going.
It's cheesy. I know.
It's not cheesy. No.
Oh, I thought that's what you were going to say because I feel a little cheesy when I say it. Not that you were saying that, but like, so he started with a shovel in his trunk. He started an excavation company and was doing odd jobs literally with a wheelbarrow and a shovel. And that's how his career started, and it ultimately landed billions of dollars. But the whole point of I read his autobiography, that's all he talked about. Can't believe I have this opportunity.
Okay, and this is the whole point. Think about what you're getting. It sets you up to come from a position of gratitude. It's anti-entitlement. There's no I deserve this. It should fuel you. That should be your fuel. Like, oh my God, what an unbelievable opportunity I have. Right? And this is not a senior broker, telling junior brokers that they should be grateful. This is like, I'm telling you, this, as both you and I came in, for me, like, this was a huge thing to realize, like, man, I'm in a lucky position. I am lucky to be here.
Yes.
Yeah. Making 100 calls a day is a grind, but holy crap, how lucky am I get to do this. Right.
Right.
So if you start as the foundational point of being grateful and realizing you're getting so much, it positions you to then add value to those around you, to try and give back, even a degree or a fraction, or even try to aim to give back more value than you're taking. And that's the whole value exchange piece. So then you got to think, okay, what value can I bring? Okay, clearly I'm getting a lot on my side of the equation. What can I give? This is a game changer. If you set yourself up this way to think of what can I give, it's huge. And there's a few things that you can give.
Okay, give them to me.
Right. So like you come in, there's a business development piece. Like you have the time to pick up the phone. A salesperson who has a bunch of listings and deals in escrow. Like you and I, like, there's not a lot of time in the day to go look for green space of new business.
Oh my God. Well, I would love to make 100 calls a day. I would love to. Like, nothing would fuel me more
this month. I don't think I'll hit it this month. Right. So it's just not realistic.
Right.
So you have the time and the space to pick up the phone, to create new opportunity, or to market listings.
Yep. And you're naive enough to realize that, like, no call is a bad call. And
perfect.
You're new to the business, that energy is like, you know what? I'm just going to call them. Who cares? And stuff happens out of that. Like that is 100%. A really cool aspect of being new.
That's what you talked about last time. Boldness, right? The boldness to do that. And you're not, like, the flip side of that. Another way to say that is like, you're not already programmed to know certain things in the market.
Yes.
Like I drive by buildings and I'm like, I have assumptions about every property in my market, and that's horrible, right? That keeps me from asking questions. Like, I'm not curious. If you're brand new in, you're just curious. You're like, I don't know, everything's a blank canvas. That's valuable.
That's valuable. Yeah.
That's valuable.
By the way, before we completely leave thankfulness, there was one other thing I wanted to say, because I do think people are listening to this in their first 5 years. Like, it makes total sense. You and I we're blessed to get a lot of, and most of our text chain is like screenshots of people saying, thank you for Sales Life. And, I'm getting a lot out of it, and it's super encouraging. So if you're listening and you're a part of this and you're kind of like, you know what, I appreciate that these guys are telling me these are awesome skills, leasing skills, deal making skills, whatever. But like, I appreciate them. There's the next step to that is life as a real estate entrepreneur, right? Like the next step, it's not just a skill set. It's thankfulness for the opportunity to invest, which is much greater than, if you stayed in this business for 20 years and just did deals and put cash aside, and 20 years into it, you found the right investment that gave you an opportunity to double, triple your net worth or whatever, whatever. That would be totally worth it. So it's not just the skill set. It's the fact that you're in the industry. I love that Simon Sinek, like it's just being in it opens yourself up to the opportunities. So, and totally. I align myself with Steve. I've told you about Steve, right? Old
Steve?
School. Yeah. Steve Pulliam.
No.
So when I started, we were in a different office and it was pretty tight, and I moved an old desk right near his, and just in all this, like one of the first things he said to me was, get liquored and get listings. He's just an old country guy.
It's like the most Kentucky thing I've ever heard.
Oh, he is Kentucky. But bro, the phone rang one time. He was always trying to give me business, right? So the phone rang one time and he picked it up and he was talking to a person probably about a small property or whatever deal. And I could tell he wanted to refer me, but I could tell he had forgotten my name. Which is Justin Ryder. So I could see his wheels turning, and he was kind of like, yes, you can talk to someone in my office whose name is Jason Justice.
So he said, that's your stage name, bro.
Jason the stage Justice. Name was Jason Justice, and that came to my mind, which is close. I mean, it's not in another universe for my actual given my Christian name, but so we still joke about that to this day. Don't buy a cap rate, sell cap rate. Don't buy anything unless there's a problem. Like I literally can hear his most of which I can't say. But I can hear them throughout the day.
I have those too imprinted on my brain. Yes. Yeah. MTP, meet the people. WIFM, WIFM. What's in it for me? Everybody in a deal is looking for the WIFM. All these acronyms, the guys that's so funny.
Like hearing him say for the first time, is like, whoa, someone on the phone. By the way, every call he did was on speakerphone, full blast. So it's like, I mean, you're a part of you hear even the nuance of the conversation. And, they're like, well, when do you want to do this, Steve? And he's like, well, more is better than less, and sooner is better than later. And it's just like, oh, that's perfect. Oh, it makes so much sense. So, Sean, do you pack your guys like the cowboy, right?
Are
you packing him with like a certain amount of calls a day? Like you're literally saying like, I think you should make 100 calls a day.
Yeah. Like just whipping him. If I hear him getting off pace, I take my belt off and just lash him across the back and say faster. No, we're like the least micromanagement type of folks. But I will say, I think so much of this business and maybe just life is about expectations. So you better expect to make 100 calls a day when you're starting out. When you come in and you have nothing to do by means of like servicing deals, you're likely coming into a situation where you're already stepping into a database, or if not, you're being asked to build out a data set. You can get in your car and knock on doors and wear out the shoe leather, collect business cards. You could do 100 a day. I mean, you're going to work more than 10 hours. That's only 10 an hour. It's less than 10 an hour. They're asking you to do 8 an hour. You can do that. But set your expectations. That's going to trail off. In fact, if that doesn't trail off after your first year, we've got some problems. Because if you still have no listings and no clients, that's a problem, right? So we say that's what you should do, and And Tucker, I mean, when we hired him, he was at a different shop, and he said, this was his. It's a funny story with this guy. He asked me to meet him for coffee randomly, and random to me, and I did. And he was telling me about his experience, the shop he was at, and he's like, "Yeah, I get in at 5:30 every day, and I leave at 8:30, and I make 550 to 575 calls a week." And I'm like, "I'm sorry, what?" Like I'm like, that's exceptional. It's great. And I don't know what got in his head, but he decided he wanted to work on our team, and we weren't even hiring. And I found this out months later after we had hired him, but the day we had coffee, he went and quit his job. And he made his full-time job trying to get hired on our team. I didn't even know this. And it was just a coffee, like, "Hey, okay, nice to meet you. Yeah, but we're not hiring. But yeah, it's amazing. You're doing the right things. Keep going." Yeah, and he quit his job.
That's
wild. And he said, "I know, yeah."
He probably read your LinkedIn post.
Probably, yeah. And he's been a great addition to the team.
Yeah, and literally said, "You know what? I can embrace both." There's a giant plane going over your head, by the way.
I know. Yeah.
So,
you know what? Let's let the plane give us a break here. This episode's getting long in the tooth. We're just getting into it. So we're gonna have to continue this. We have so many. We're just scratching the surface on how you survive your first 5 years.
So
we're gonna have to two-part this thing, or three-part.
All right, 2 parts. 2 parts, how to survive your first 5 years in the business. Sean, appreciate you. You survived a lot of first years in this business now.
You're in your second 5-year chapter.
5-year
Let's go.
periods. I'm in my second chapter. We've got more to say on this. Back next week with
there you go.
Survival tactics.
Love it.
See you, brother.
All right, buddy. Bye.